बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया अमान भाई, थैंक यू सो मच। और आपने चंद अहम नुकात के ऊपर रोशनी डाली कि जो रिकग्निशन है और जो सेल्फ ऑब्जर्वेशन है वो बहुत ज़रूरी है। तनकीद करना लाजमन बहुत आसान है, लेकिन जो अच्छी चीज़ है उसको अगर इस ज़िंदगी में आप एक्नॉलेज कर लें तो बेहतर होगा। हमने तो यही देखा कि जब लोग अपने अगले सफ़र पर जाते हैं तो बड़ी अच्छी अच्छी बातें कही जाती हैं, लेकिन बात यह है कि ऑन हैंड जो काम अच्छा हो रहा हो उसको रिकग्नाइज़ करना चाहिए। लेकिन इसका ये मतलब नहीं है कि जिस काम की तरफ आप तवज्जो दिलाना चाहते हैं आप तवज्जो ना दिलाएं और आप जो है वो सिर्फ जो है वो एक सर्कल जो होता है जिसके बारे में शुमार किया जाता है कि बस वो हर वक्त खुश रखने वाला सर्कल है, ज़ाहिर है वैसा भी ना हो। आप अपनी आवाज़ उठाएं और अगर मेंबर ऑफ पार्लियामेंट जिस तरह इन्होंने कहा कि घरों पे आती हैं, लोगों से मुलाकात करती हैं, तो लाजमी सी बात है कि वो आपकी गुफ्तगू, आपके एतराज़ात, आपकी पॉजिटिव क्रिटिसिज्म लाजमन सुनना चाहती होंगी और उनको एड्रेस करना चाहती होंगी। तो अमान भाई बहुत शुक्रिया आपका जो है वो सब लोगों को रिमाइंडर देने का। अच्छा, बाज़ औक़ात ऐसा होता है कि हम, जैसे मैं बात कर रहा हूँ, आप आएंगे और लोग आएंगे, हम बातें करते और करते रहेंगे और होनी चाहिए और होती रहनी चाहिए, लेकिन ज़रूरत इस अमर की होती है कि कभी कभी आपको जो है वो एक्सटर्नल पर्सपेक्टिव भी चाहिए होता है कि आपको, मुझे मेरा कोई बाहर का दोस्त मुझे बताए कि मेरी जो है वो कौन सी ऐसी खामियां हैं कि जिनको मुझे दुरुस्त करना है, या कौन सी मेरी ऐसी मिसाल या क्वालिटीज़ आपकी मेरी हैं जो हमें नहीं पता। लेकिन बाज़ औक़ात कुछ बाहर से देखने वाला जो एक्सटर्नल पर्सपेक्टिव होता है उसके पास कोई बायस नहीं होती, उसके पास बायस नहीं होती, वो बात करेगा, टू द पॉइंट करेगा, आपको मुझे आगे बढ़ाने के लिए करेगा। तो हमारे दरमियान ऐसी एक शख्सियत मौजूद हैं, ऑर्गेनाइजर्स की इजाज़त के साथ 2-3 मिनट हम उनको भी देंगे ताकि वो थोड़ा सा एक्सटर्नल पर्सपेक्टिव से रोशनी डालें कि हमारी जो प्रोग्रेशन है उसको यहाँ पर कनाडा में या कनाडा से बाहर जो है वो हल्के किस तरह से देखते हैं, और हाउ मच वी नीड टू बी माइंडफुल कि जब हम अपना डिसीजन करेंगे अक्टूबर 2019 के अंदर। मेरी मुराद है जनाब मोहतरम खुर्शीद बड़लाज साहब जो चेयरमैन है रीजनल कोऑर्डिनेशन कमेटी रावलपिंडी चैम्बर ऑफ कॉमर्स एंड इंडस्ट्री, एग्जीक्यूटिव मेंबर हैं फेडरेशन ऑफ पाकिस्तान चैम्बर ऑफ कॉमर्स इंडस्ट्री, 2016 में उनके प्रेसिडेंट थे, चीफ एग्जीक्यूटिव हैं पाक वर्ल्ड एक्सपो एंड ट्रेड सेंटर। जनाब खुर्शीद बड़लाज साहब प्लीज़।
बहुत शुक्रिया आपका। मैं बिल्कुल कतई इस तैयारी में नहीं था और इतने खूबसूरत स्पीकर के सामने तो मेरा मुझे लगता है कोई वजूद भी नहीं रहेगा। तो सबसे पहले तो मैं आपका शुक्रिया अदा करता हूं कि आपने मुझे मौका दिया यहाँ आज आने का और अपने इजहार करने का। मैं पिछले चंद सालों से यहाँ कनाडा मुख्तलिफ मौक़ों पर तशरीफ़ ला रहा हूँ, दोस्तों से मुलाकात भी हो रही है, लेकिन टू बी ऑनेस्ट मुझे देख के बड़ी खुशी होती है आपकी यूनिटी को, आपके सारे सियासी कैरियर को। और मेरी पिछली दफ़ा भी मैं जब आया था तो मेरी इकरा खालिद से मुलाकात हुई थी, और बल्कि संडे वाले दिन उन्होंने अपने ऑफिस बुला लिया था, टाइम मेरे पास भी कम था। और जब मैं उनसे मिला और मेरा मकसद यही था कि हम यहाँ एक ट्रेड डेलीगेशन लेके आना चाहते हैं ताकि दोनों मुल्कों के दरमियान हम किसी तरीके से को ट्रेड को बढ़ा सकें, इन्वेस्टमेंट को बढ़ा सकें। और जितना मुझे यहाँ पाकिस्तानी इतना स्ट्रॉन्ग डायस्पोरा मिला है, मैं समझता हूँ कि इतना शायद मुझे इससे पहले ना मिला हो, क्योंकि मेरा ताल्लुक़ रावलपिंडी चैम्बर ऑफ कॉमर्स एंड इंडस्ट्री से है। नवीद चौधरी मुझे हमेशा यहाँ इनवाइट करते रहते हैं मुख्तलिफ मौक़ों पे, और मैं आता रहता हूँ क्योंकि हमारा काम जो है पाकिस्तान की ट्रेड को बढ़ाना है, एक्सपोर्ट को बढ़ाना है, इन्वेस्टमेंट को बढ़ाना है। तो इंशाअल्लाह ताला इस साल के एंड तक हम लोग यहाँ पर दोबारा एक सिंगल कंट्री एग्जीबिशन भी और एक ट्रेड डेलीगेशन लेके आएंगे। बल्कि चंद माह पहले सलमा आपा भी कराची अपना इस्लामाबाद आई थी, उनको मैंने अपने घर पे भी दावत दी थी। और मुझे यहाँ जो आपने बड़ी खूबसूरत बातें की हैं कि अभी 6 माह बाकी हैं आपके इलेक्शन में, लेकिन आप आज से बैठ गए हैं कि हमने लाएअमल क्या अख्तियार करना है, क्या गलतियाँ थीं उनको कैसे सुधारना है। तो ये बड़ी मैच्योर्ड अप्रोच है आपकी। हमारे यहाँ अनफॉर्चुनेटली शायद हम अभी इतने मैच्योर वहाँ नहीं हुए हैं सियासी तौर पर। इलेक्शन से पहले तो सब हमें नज़र आते हैं, लेकिन इलेक्शन के बाद नज़र नहीं आते। और जितना आपका फॉलोअप है और जितने आपके पार्लियामेंटेरियंस का आपके साथ कनेक्टिविटी है, ये रियली हाईली अप्रिशिएबल। और वो भी कुछ ना कुछ करना चाहते हैं। और जिस तरह मैं देख रहा हूँ कि जितना यहाँ पर भी यूएस में भी यूके में भी हमारा डायस्पोरा कितना सियासी तौर पर मैच्योर और कितना एक्टिव होता चला जा रहा है। क्योंकि मैं तो बल्कि ये बड़े फ़ख्र से कहता हूँ कि यहाँ पर हमारे माशाल्लाह जितने पाकिस्तानी मौजूद हैं, ये यू आर रियली ट्रू पाकिस्तानी और पाकिस्तान के साथ सच्ची मोहब्बत रखते हैं। और आप सब पाकिस्तान के एम्बेसडर हैं। अल्लाह ताला आपको खुश व खुर्रम रखे और यहाँ पर भी आपको तरक्की दे और पाकिस्तान का नाम रोशन करने की भी आपको तौफीक अता फरमाए। थैंक यू वेरी मच सर।
खुर्शीद बरला साहब, बहुत शुक्रिया, आपने अपने ख्यालात का इज़हार किया और गाहे बगाहे एक्सटर्नल पर्सपेक्टिव लेते रहना ज़रूरी भी है और हम सब के लिए आगे बढ़ने के लिए बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट कहा मिले। उन्होंने कहा कि हम सब पाकिस्तान के एम्बेसडर हैं। अक्सर औक़ात मैं ये गुफ्तगू करता भी हूँ और बाज़ औक़ात अपने हवाले से भी सोचता हूँ, और ज़ाहिर है आप सब हम एक ही बोट के मुसाफिर हैं, कि जब हम इमिग्रेंट बन के कैनेडा आ गए तो न सिर्फ हम पाकिस्तान के एम्बेसडर बन गए, बल्कि साथ साथ हमने एक और बड़ी जिम्मेदारी अपने ऊपर ले ली कि हम जो है वो इस्लाम के भी एम्बेसडर बन गए। तो आपकी हमारी ड्यूल नेशनलिटी कनाडा और पाकिस्तान की तो हो गई, लेकिन उसी के साथ साथ आपने और मैंने, हम सब ने ड्यूल एबिलिटी भी कैरी कर ली, अज्यूम कर ली, खुशी के साथ कर ली। आपकी मेरी जिम्मेदारी बनती है कि जहाँ कहीं भी अपने आप को हम कैरी करें तो ना सिर्फ पाकिस्तान के परचम को जहन में रखें, बल्कि इस्लाम के हवाले से अपने किरदार को, अपने इंटरेक्शन को, अपने नेबर्स के साथ, अपने दोस्तों के साथ, सियासी, समाजी, हर लिहाज की इंगेजमेंट के साथ, हमारी ड्यूल नेशनलिटी के साथ ड्यूल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है, इसका हमेशा आपने और मुझे ख्याल रखना है। यहाँ पे मेरी जिम्मेदारियाँ ख़त्म हुई। मैं एक मरतबा फिर शुक्रिया अदा करूँगा जनाब अमान खान साहब का और अयाज़ मलिक, इनकी टीम का, कि जिन्होंने मुझे ये मौका दिया। गो कि मैंने कहा कि यहाँ पे मेरी आज मौजूदगी मीडिया की रिप्रेजेंटेशन है और यही हम कोशिश करते हैं कि हम नॉन पार्टिजन काम करें ताकि आप तक वो इन्फॉर्मेशन पहुंचा सकें बिला किसी बाइस के, बिला किसी जो है वो झुकाव के। लेकिन जहां बारी आती है कम्युनिटी की, अपने दोस्तों की सपोर्ट की, तो जाहिर है हम एक दूसरे के लिए खड़े भी होते हैं, लब्बैक भी कहते हैं और सपोर्ट भी करते हैं। मैं यहाँ से ऑनवर्ड जनाब रिक्वेस्ट करूँगा अली कमर साहब से कि मज़ीद प्रोग्राम को कंटिन्यू कीजिए। बहुत शुक्रिया।
First of all, thank you for everyone, for the entire community to come together for a very short notice when Aman Bhai sent out a text message, a simple Facebook message. Today, there's over almost 100 people sitting in this room, and they're all close friends. To me, they're not 100 supporters or 100 friends of Iqra Khalid. To me, this is more than 1,000 friends and supporters, because each one of us are over 10, 100, 1,000 reach within our family and friends of circle. If we say something, if I say something, if you say something, the voices are heard not by one, not by 10, but by thousands of people. If I post something, if Iman Bhai posts something, if Tahir Bhai posts something, it is not read by one, not by 10, but 1,000 people. And those words and messaging is critical and crucial to what we are about to endeavor. The last 3.5, 4 years have been enormous success for the Liberal Party, for the Pakistani community. We haven't had a Pakistani representation since the days of Wajid Khan. And then we had Salma Zahid and Iqra Khalid come on as elected members. The parliament represented and looked like the fabric of Canada. We looked like an inclusive parliament in 2015, and the message needs to continue, needs to be focused on an inclusive, progressive Canada. And for me, it's an enormous delight to see Iqra as my parliamentarian within the Churchill Meadows and Aaron Mills riding. It is a delight to see Salma Zahid as one of my MPs as well, representing the Pakistani culture. But in overall, we are looking to progress as a country, as a nation, and as a community. And it is utmost, the important thing to remember the objective. We are 6 months away from the federal elections. This is the time we unite everyone. We unite a community. We unite our differences into one objective to make sure Iqra Khalid is re-elected as our next parliamentarian from Churchill Meadows, Aaron Mills riding. And that is the main objective. We need to put our differences aside, and that's why we're all here together from different organizations, different facets of life, different friend circle. And it is, when Aman Bhai put out this function, I was extremely excited to see it. And I know today's a Sunday. We want to keep it short because everyone has obligations. And I just found out that Iqra Iqra has actually, on a very short notice, come from UTM from her lecture to be amongst us. And I will cut my message short because I will leave it for her to deliver the message. And I would like everyone to welcome our Member of the Parliament from Erin Mills, Iqra Khalid.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम everybody. मुझे आवाज़ नहीं आई आपकी एक दफ़ा थोड़ा सा. Wonderful. Well, this is a surprise. I'm really happy and actually quite honestly very humbled to be here today with all of you. And it's really a humbling feeling for me to stand here and to know that I have your unconditional support, and to know that regardless of what happens, to know that I have some wonderful friends. And if I get a little I want to thank Aman Bhai first and foremost for putting this together, for organizing this. I don't like podiums, I'm sorry. I have a bit of a phobia with podiums, but I will do this so everybody can hear me. I normally have a message to deliver. I normally have something, some kind of accomplishments that I want to share of our government when I come out in the community events where I see you. And I'll tell you, I've attended about 3,000 community events in the past 3.5 years. And these are community events where I get to meet with people from all communities, not just the Pakistani Canadian community. These are communities that really paint the fabric of what Mississauga Erin Mills looks like. I'll tell you, there are 43 different languages that are spoken within the 128,000 people that live in Mississauga Erin Mills. And for me to learn from each and every one of them has been a very humbling experience. And there is so much to learn from each and every one of you and each and every one of them. But it's the Pakistani Canadian community that grabs my heart, and always will. And it's because it's my heritage, absolutely. I was born in Bahawalpur. And it's because this community has always been there to support, to give feedback, which is, I think, also a form of support, and to show love. And I know many of you here have called me your daughter, your sister, and for me to, over the past 4 years, have grown my family the way that it has grown, it means a lot to me. And I have really learned the values of my parents. We're a middle-class family. We're nothing special. We run a mom-and-pop shop, small business. That's where I grew up. It's the values that my parents taught me over the past 33 years of my life. That's how old I am, if any of you are wondering. And these are values of humility. These are values of kindness, of generosity, of respect, of working with each other, of working towards something that is important to each and every one of us, and for always remembering to be a good human being, for always remembering the value of a community, for always remembering that every word that comes out of our mouths should have positive impact. It should be a lesson. It should be something that we can all use. And it's with those values that I entered politics. It's with those values that I try to really implement how we do politics differently in Mississauga Erin Mills. And we do politics differently. I have made it a very big policy to be open and accessible. I've had over 3,000 meetings with constituents in my constituency office. I've knocked on over 5,000 doors in the past 3.5 years. And it's part of that whole accessibility that led me to hold over 45 different town halls and community roundtables in Mississauga Erin Mills, bringing in different ministers and talking about the issues that matter to Canadians. It was with that approach of accessibility, of understanding and trying to understand the will of the community that allowed me to sponsor an e-petition to create a Minister for Seniors Affairs, because that is a concern that our community has addressed to me. And within a few months of starting that petition, we gathered over 7,000 signatures, and thankfully we do have now a Minister of Seniors Affairs. But one thing it's very difficult to keep on pushing towards it, to being accessible, to being positive, to using my words only in a positive way, when there are others that seek to divide, that seek to exclude, and that seek to, I don't know. But it's one thing that I know will never impact how I do politics and how we in this room do politics. We must continue to talk about ideas. We must continue to talk about how we do things together, how we work together, what ideas we can help flourish when we work together. Criticism is a very important part of that. Positive criticism, encouragement, feedback. It's how we do things in our community, in our very big family, whether that family is a liberal family, whether that family is a Pakistani Canadian community, whether that family is the Erin Mills family, which consists of 43 different language speakers. Understanding those values, understanding what it means to be positive, to be inclusive, and really understanding that kindness is not a sign of weakness. Understanding how much more we can achieve, how much further we can go when we work together. And it's with those values that I continue to do the work that I do. It's with those values that I continue to advocate for our community, not only the Erin Mills community, but as the Pakistani Canadian community. And I will keep on doing that, not only because it's my heritage, but because it's also the heritage of the people that are very dear to me. And over the past 4 years, 5 years, I've built some extraordinary relationships. I've had the opportunity of learning from extraordinary people. I've watched miracles happen within this community. And I commit to you that I will continue to keep my head low. I will continue to be your sister and your daughter. I will continue to advocate for what you want me to advocate for. I will continue your voice in Ottawa. We have before us a tough election. We do. And I do have a list of accomplishments somewhere. But I think today is maybe not a time to talk about accomplishments. I mean, I can tell you that I've been working with the immigration minister very closely to remove the ban on adoptions from Pakistan for Canadians. I can tell you that Pakistani student visas has enormous progress that's been made on it, with now Pakistan being put on a list of countries that allows applicants from that country to be fast-tracked if they meet certain criteria financially. I can tell you of the tens and hundreds of meetings I've had on issues that involve the Pakistani community. I can tell you that I've trained over 25, 30 students and youth within our office to take on leadership roles within their community. I can tell you that I have been advocating for it, and I'm moving towards making Mississauga a sister city with Lahore in Pakistan, to increase trade, to increase culture, and to exchange information. I can tell you that I'm working towards creating student exchange programs between Canadian universities and universities in Punjab and Lahore. I can tell you that I keep and have consistent meetings with our high commissioners, representatives of Pakistan, representatives of Canada, to ensure that issues like the travel advisory are resolved, to ensure that issues of visas are involved. And I can tell you that this journey will always continue. I learned from our immigration minister, and he says this quite often, that politics is a journey and a process, not an event. It's not a one-time thing. When we talk about advocacy, we must continue to pool our resources together. We must continue to show how strong the Pakistani Canadian community is because we stand united, not because we have our conditions that we place on each other to show that support. We must stand united. We must be a strong advocate for the issues that matter to us, and know that your advocacy gives me strength. So when I go to Wendy Gilmore, and I spoke to her, and before she left for Pakistan, and I said to her, look, the travel advisory is a very big issue. And I talked to her about student visas. I talked to her about visit visas and business visas. I talked to her about increasing trade between the two countries. And I can tell you that I receive regular updates on what's happening on that front. I can tell you that since Salma Zahid and I have, and Rob Oliphant have started to advocate for travel advisories being reduced, that work continues. It's a slow process, it's a slow progress, but currently Islamabad's travel advisory has been lowered. And it's when we advocate for things together that we are able to achieve things together. Many of you may have noticed, I hope you've noticed, because I've made a lot of speeches over the past 4 years, that oftentimes the theme of my speech is always togetherness and unity. We have a lot of uphill battles that we fight. We really do. And in 2017, I took on that fight to fight Islamophobia in the House of Commons. And many of you stood with me. You stood with me shoulder to shoulder to combat racism in Canada. And because you stood with me, because we were effective in our advocacy, that motion passed. And the result of it was $23 million set aside for needs-based communities across Canada, and that includes the Muslim community. That is called effective advocacy and representation. And we can only do that when we work together. It's not a partisan issue. It's not an issue that we can take personal shots at for each other. I think, and this is a concern that many Pakistani Canadians have raised to me over the past number of years, is how do we as a community grow? How do we as a community get taken seriously? Well, the answer I've been trying to explain over the past 4 years is quite simple. Good faith and unity. Good faith and unity. Trust. Work towards objectives. Don't work towards putting each other down. Talk about ideas, talk about policy, talk about what matters to you, what impacts your life, talk about how we can work together to make impact. Don't talk about what people are saying or doing. Talk about what you are doing. Talk about what we are doing. And when we continue to show that unity, when we continue to show that strength, it is only then that the Pakistani Canadian community can get taken seriously. It's only then when we can progress. It's only then when we can have more than 2 effective representatives in our parliaments, in our provincial parliaments, in local municipalities. It's when we take ownership of the place that we live in, and that is Canada, our adopted home, that we can truly care about what we are doing together. We can truly care about the importance of working together. Pakistan is our heritage. Canada is our home. And united, we are stronger. And divided, we fall. It's as simple as that. So I can continue talking because I am a politician. It's a skill that I've picked up. But I would hope that Aman Khan Sahib, who's coming to the stage right now, can say a few words. I do want to thank you from the depths of my heart for coming out today and for showing your support, for always being there by my side, whether it's to give your feedback, whether it's to show your unconditional love or support, whether it's to give me thodi si hausla afzai, or whether it's just to be a friend. Politics is not an easy game. And you need a lot of thick skin. I can tell you, if I started reading the comments that people post about me, I would probably no longer be doing this. But I keep going. I keep going and going because I want to do something positive for the community. It's not about titles. It's not about who I want to be. It's about what I want to do. And I think when we together adapt that mentality, that attitude, that positive drive with each and every one of us and talk about what we are going to do, we will be successful. And I am here to support you. I'm here to be your representative. I am here to work and advocate for you. What I would love to see is a united Pakistani community. Thank you all very much.
All right, thank you, Iqra, for those enormous words and messages and a lot of things that you do behind the scenes that a lot of us don't see at times. 4,000 constituents meetings, 2,500 events in 3 years is not an easy thing for anyone to have a full-time job, which actually requires you to work 7 days a week.